The story of me. Take two.
3, 2, here we go. Ready, and...
He was just a kid from Canada with a dream. But that dream was about to catapult him into Hollywood superstardom. And no one, not even Michael J. Fox, could predict what would happen next. Born in Edmonton, Alberta, Michael J. Fox wasn't handed fame. He chased it with everything he had. His childhood was a blur of moving vans and new cities, thanks to his father's job in the military. But even in the chaos, one thing was constant: Michael's love for performing. By 16, he was starring in a Canadian TV show called Leo and Me. Just 2 years later, he took the leap, leaving everything behind to pursue acting in Los Angeles. But here's where it gets interesting. Michael arrived in LA with no backup plan. He was broke, unknown, and living off cans of beans. He made ends meet with small TV roles, guest spots on The Love Boat, Lou Grant, and more. Each part was a stepping stone, and every audition was a test of grit. Eventually, he landed a recurring role on Family, playing a troubled teen, a performance that proved he was more than just a charming face. He had range, depth, and undeniable talent. But that was just the beginning. His next move would define a generation and make him a household name forever. One call, one role, one film would flip his life upside down, and that's coming up. The role of a lifetime was about to make him a global icon, but it nearly broke him. Behind Marty McFly's smile was a man unraveling. Back to the Future didn't just change movie history, it changed Michael J. Fox's life overnight. One day, he was filming Family Ties during the day and Back to the Future at night. He was barely sleeping, juggling 2 careers, and running on caffeine and adrenaline. But the fame hit like a lightning bolt. Suddenly, he was everywhere: magazine covers, red carpets, talk shows. The charming teen from Canada was now the face of a billion-dollar franchise. But listen to this. The public saw the charisma, the wit, the effortless cool. But behind closed doors, Fox was cracking under the pressure. Fame had a dark side, and Michael fell into it hard. Parties became a coping mechanism. Alcohol became a crutch. His public persona was invincible, but privately, he was spiraling. The turning point came one night when his wife, actress Tracy Pollan, found him passed out drunk on the floor. That moment changed everything, and what happened next will shock you. That brush with self-destruction forced Michael to confront the truth. He was losing himself, and if he didn't act fast, he'd lose everything else too. But that was only the first battle he'd have to fight. One twitch, one tremor. That's how it started. Michael J. Fox's life was about to be split in two, before Parkinson's and after. It was 1991. Michael was filming Doc Hollywood when he noticed something strange. His pinky finger was trembling. No big deal, right? A sore shoulder here, a small twitch there, just wear and tear from the long shoots. But the tremors didn't stop. They got worse. And then came the bombshell: early onset Parkinson's disease. He was only 29 years old. The doctor didn't sugarcoat it. His acting career could be over in just a few years, but it gets crazier. Fox kept the diagnosis a secret for 7 years. He didn't want pity. He didn't want headlines. He just wanted to act, to feel normal. So he crafted a double life: public Michael versus private Michael. On set, he was all charm and precision. Off set, he was falling apart. He used dopamine pills to control the tremors, but mixed them with alcohol to dull the emotional pain. It was a risky dance with disaster. Hold that thought, because it connects to something even more shocking. Despite it all, Michael pushed forward. He acted, smiled, and made us laugh, while hiding one of the most brutal diagnoses an actor can face. And yet, his biggest transformation was still to come. He hit rock bottom, but instead of staying there, Michael J. Fox did the unthinkable. He fought his way back. After years of hiding, Michael reached a breaking point. The booze, the pills, the emotional weight, it all came crashing down. So, in 1998, he made 2 life-changing decisions. First, he got sober for good. Second, he finally told the world he had Parkinson's. The honesty was brutal, but freeing. For the first time, he didn't have to pretend, but then things got even more intense. Michael underwent a procedure called a thalamotomy, where doctors literally zapped part of his brain to help reduce his tremors. The surgery was risky, but it worked. Not perfectly, but enough. And that small win gave Michael the courage to do something even more remarkable: keep acting. You won't believe what he did next. In a move that shocked fans and producers alike, Michael returned to TV in Spin City, a comedy where he played the slick deputy mayor of New York, and he crushed it. Awards followed: an Emmy, 3 Golden Globes. He was back, not in spite of Parkinson's, but alongside it. He should have retired. Instead, he turned his illness into fuel and delivered the best performances of his life. Even as Parkinson's chipped away at his control, Michael J. Fox stayed in the game. After stepping down from Spin City in 2000, many thought that was it. But Fox wasn't finished. In fact, some of his most iconic roles were still ahead. From 2004 to 2017, he guest starred in hit shows like Scrubs, Boston Legal, Rescue Me, and The Good Wife, playing intense, complex characters that showed his full acting range. Now here's the twist. He wasn't just acting, he was performing under enormous pressure. Memorizing lines was a battle. Physical movement was unpredictable. But Michael embraced the chaos and wove it into his characters. Every performance became more personal, more layered. Audiences weren't just watching a character, they were watching a man fighting to keep his passion alive. Stick with me. This next part explains everything. His appearance on Curb Your Enthusiasm, playing himself, sealed the deal. Michael J. Fox wasn't just an actor battling a disease, he was rewriting the script on what resilience really looks like. For 3 decades, he battled the impossible and kept going. But in 2019, Michael J. Fox finally said the words no one wanted to hear. "I'm retiring." The decision didn't come lightly. By 2019, Michael was 60, and Parkinson's had taken a toll. His speech was slower, his memory less sharp, and worst of all, acting, the thing he once did effortlessly, now felt like climbing a mountain every single day. He wasn't just forgetting lines, he was forgetting moments. His quick wit, the comedic timing, the photographic memory that made him a superstar, it was all slipping away. And just when it couldn't get more heartbreaking, it did. Michael wasn't just mourning a career, he was mourning a part of his identity. Acting had been his escape, his joy, his superpower. Now it was something he had to walk away from. In a candid interview, he admitted the hardest part wasn't the physical deterioration. It was realizing that he couldn't trust his brain anymore. The disease wasn't just stealing his strength, it was stealing his stories, his thoughts, his memories. But here's what's wild. He never asked, "Why me?" Instead, he looked ahead. Retirement didn't mean defeat. It meant transformation. And even though the curtain had fallen on one part of his life, Michael was already preparing to step into another role, one even more powerful than the last. They met on a sitcom set in the 80s, and today, they're still side by side. Michael and Tracy's love story isn't just Hollywood rare, it's battle-tested. In 1985, sparks quietly flew behind the scenes of Family Ties when Michael met co-star Tracy Pollan. At the time, it wasn't fireworks, just a deep connection, the kind that feels like home. But a year later, during the filming of Bright Lights, Big City, the chemistry turned into something undeniable. By 1988, they were married in Vermont, far from the flashing cameras and Hollywood chaos. Now, here's where the story gets powerful. When Michael told Tracy about his Parkinson's diagnosis in 1991, her response was short but unforgettable. "We'll deal with this. We'll be okay." No drama, no hesitation, just love rooted in steel. Over the decades, as Michael's condition worsened, Tracy never left his side. She became his anchor, his mirror, his strength on days he didn't have any of his own. The tabloids tried, to stir rumors of divorce, but the couple shut it down with a joint statement that was all heart and no spin. Love, understanding, and humor have carried us through. But listen to this. They didn't just survive the storms, they thrived. Together they raised 4 kids, Sam, twin daughters Aquina and Skylar, and their youngest, Esme. Their family became a fortress. Michael often says Tracy saved his life. But the truth is, she gave him a reason to keep living it, with purpose, with fight, and with hope. What do you do when the world starts watching you fall apart? If you're Michael J. Fox, you turn that spotlight into a weapon for change. In 2000, Michael launched something that would become his greatest legacy, the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research. It wasn't just a vanity project, it was a full-blown movement, and it exploded. Today, it's the largest nonprofit of its kind in the world, having raised over $1.5 billion for research. But hold that thought, because the way it started is jaw-dropping. In 2006, Michael made waves in the political world. He starred in a campaign ad supporting embryonic stem cell research. In the ad, his Parkinson's symptoms were unfiltered, his body shaking, his voice unsteady. It was raw, real, and controversial. Critics accused him of exaggerating. Others accused him of using his illness for political gain. But Michael didn't flinch. He had one goal: to find a cure, not just for himself, but for millions. And then came the payoff. The ad went viral. The candidate he supported won. And suddenly, the world couldn't ignore Parkinson's anymore. From testifying before Congress, to calling out Big Pharma, to teaming up with Nike to raise $6.75 million in a single auction, Fox turned advocacy into a weapon. His battle with Parkinson's became a fight for everyone else living in silence. And in doing so, he found a voice louder than any script could give him. He lost his grip. He lost his speed. He even lost the ability to play guitar. But what Michael found was a new kind of freedom. Parkinson's took a lot from Michael J. Fox. The tremors made it nearly impossible to play guitar, something he'd loved since he was a teen. Dancing, gone, drawing, too shaky, even walking became unpredictable. Imagine being one of the most animated, energetic stars of a generation, and suddenly, every motion becomes a fight. It was cruel. But instead of giving in, Michael redirected his creative fire into something else, writing, and you won't believe how real he got. In his memoir, Lucky Man, Fox tore the mask off. He confessed to years of denial, talked about going off meds before testifying to Congress so lawmakers could see what Parkinson's really looks like, and exposed the mental toll of being the poster boy for a disease that doesn't quit. His second book, Always Looking Up, followed his journey deeper into politics, family, and the optimism he refused to surrender. Here's the twist. His books weren't just successful, they were bestsellers. Suddenly, this actor turned advocate turned author was touching lives in an entirely new way. With every page, every speech, every brutally honest interview, Michael proved that Parkinson's could take his control, but not his voice. Michael J. Fox may have stepped out of the spotlight, but what he's built will shine long after he's gone. Today, Michael lives a quieter life. A beautiful New York apartment overlooking Central Park. A beach house in the Hamptons. A Montana ranch where he escapes the city and reconnects with nature. It's peaceful, but not idle. Because even in stillness, Michael is moving the world. But here's why that matters. The Michael J. Fox Foundation continues to break barriers in Parkinson's research. The breakthroughs funded by his efforts are changing lives, accelerating treatments, fueling hope, and edging us closer to a cure. And it's not just about medicine. Michael's presence in the conversation has shattered the stigma of living with a degenerative illness. He made it okay to talk about it. He made it powerful, and now we know why. Because behind the actor, behind the advocate, behind the tremors and the pain, is a man who chose purpose over pity. A man who stared down one of the cruelest diseases imaginable and decided to build a legacy brick by brick that will change the world for generations.